What if I told you that a once promising young star is now at a crossroads with the Toronto Maple Leafs? As the trade deadline approaches, the question on every fan's mind is, what's next for this talented player who hasn't quite found his footing in the NHL? With whispers of potential trades swirling, it seems like a pivotal moment for the Leafs as they weigh their options. Could we be witnessing the beginning of a new chapter, or is it time to say goodbye to a familiar face? Make sure to stick around as we dive into the latest updates, and if you love the Leafs as much as we do, hit that subscribe button and leave a like to keep up with all the action. As we dive into the latest updates on our beloved Toronto Maple Leafs, there's a lot to unpack regarding Nick Robertson's future with the team. According to James Mirtle from The Athletic, it seems that the potential return for Robertson in a trade scenario isn't exactly promising. After struggling to secure a regular spot in the lineup and failing to capitalize on the opportunities presented to him, the Leafs might be faced with some tough decisions. Looking ahead to the NHL trade deadline, which is fast approaching, the Leafs are in a position where they need to consider upgrades to the roster, and unfortunately, that means evaluating what to do with Nick Robertson. Once heralded as one of the top prospects in the system, Robertson has had a challenging season, tallying just 8 goals and 12 points in 47 games. This raises the question, do the Leafs still see a future with Robertson, or has he exhausted his chances? Mirtle points out that if the Leafs could secure a solid return for Robertson, they likely would. However, his trade value is currently in question, and it appears they may only get a late-round draft pick in return. Perhaps even just a 4th rounder if they're fortunate. It's disheartening to think about. Robertson has shown flashes of offensive potential, but those moments have predominantly occurred in the AHL rather than translating to consistent success at the NHL level. As it stands, he's been playing sheltered minutes, and his inability to make a significant impact is undoubtedly affecting his trade value across the league. There's a glimmer of hope that a team outside the playoff picture might take a chance on him, giving him a shot to prove himself over 20 games. Still, they won't be willing to part with much in exchange for that opportunity. This situation leaves us wondering about the direction of the franchise. Is Robertson merely a reclamation project at this point? His low impact on the ice and status as a restricted free agent could potentially entice a buyer, but it's tough to see any contender parting with valuable assets for him. So, what does this mean for the Leafs moving forward? Honestly, I'm torn. On one hand, you want to see the organization remain patient with a young talent like Robertson, who has shown promise. On the other hand, if he's not producing and there are opportunities to strengthen other areas of the team, maybe it's time to let go. The Leafs are in a win-now mode, and every decision counts as they aim for playoff success. For us fans, it's a roller coaster of emotions. We've watched Robertson's journey with hope and anticipation, but the reality is that the team needs players who can contribute immediately. This trade deadline will be pivotal, not just for how the roster shapes up, but for the expectations we have as fans. We dream of seeing our team lift the cup, and every move in the coming weeks will impact that dream. Mitch Marner and Auston Matthews are taking center stage once again in the final of the Four Nations face-off. It's a clash not just for pride, but for the right to boast about national supremacy. Marner, with his overtime winner against Sweden, has been pivotal in getting Canada to this moment. Meanwhile, Matthews is back in action for Team USA after missing a game due to an upper body injury. The stakes couldn't be higher, and as a Toronto Maple Leafs fan, it's hard not to feel the excitement ramping up. Now, let's talk about their performances. While both Marner and Matthews have been somewhat subdued offensively, something we've come to expect from superstar talents like them, their contributions on the defensive end cannot be overlooked. Marner has been utilized in a third-line role, playing alongside Brandon Hagel and Anthony Cirelli to ensure that elite defensive capabilities are paired with playmaking. It's an interesting choice by John Cooper, and as fans, we have to appreciate the strategic depth that this brings. Sure, there are those who might look at Marner's single assist in the tournament and think it reflects on his overall playoff performances with the Leafs, but that perspective feels a bit short-sighted to me. His goal in overtime against Sweden was the moment that propelled Canada into the finals, and it's crucial to recognize that. His defensive stats are impressive too. A balanced shot differential of 17-17 at 5-on-5 shows he's holding his own. On the other hand, Matthews has been a force defensively, boasting a differential of +7 in shot attempts when he's on the ice. This is a guy who, when at his best, can score at will and is known for his offensive prowess. But here he is, showing that his two-way game is just as strong. The fact that Jake Guentzel and Dylan Larkin have become the offensive engines for Team USA is surprising, but it speaks volumes about Matthews' ability to adapt and contribute in different ways. I can't help but feel a mix of excitement and anxiety about what these performances mean for our beloved Leafs. Are we seeing a shift in how these players approach the game? Are they learning lessons that could translate back to the NHL? Do you think this was the best decision for both players to focus on defense rather than solely on scoring? Honestly, I'm torn. It's hard to argue against the effectiveness of their current roles, but as fans, we crave those highlight reel moments. And what about the implications for their playoff performances with the Leafs? Are we witnessing a transformation that could change their fortunes come playoff time? It's easy to fall into the trap of drawing parallels between international play and the NHL, but this is a different environment. Expectations are high, and the pressure is palpable. The narrative around these players often shifts at the slightest hint of underperformance, but we must remember that both are in different roles here. As we prepare for the final, the tension is thick. Marner and Matthews have a chance to shine on the international stage, and their defensive efforts could be the difference makers in a tightly contested game. I believe they have the potential to turn those defensive plays into quick transitions, sparking offensive opportunities when the moment is right. So, fans, what do you think? Are you optimistic about the future of Marner and Matthews based on their current form? I want to hear your opinions down below. It's a thrilling time to be a Leafs fan, and we've got a lot to discuss. Don't forget to like this video, share it with your fellow fans, and subscribe to the channel for all the latest updates. And remember, hit that notification bell so you never miss a moment in the journey of our Toronto Maple Leafs.